Now I turn to Ian Johnston. He's a senior associate at the Engine, and he'll talk about their approach. Ian, over to you.
Thanks you for having me. I don't have any slides today, so you just get to talk to me, see my face. But today, I kind of, at some point in your journey, you've heard a lot of the grants, but at some point in your journey, you may want to raise money from a venture capital firm. And when you do this, you're going to have to go pitch, and you'll be assessed across a range of parameters like your team, your technology, how big is the opportunity, how differentiated you are. And the fact of the matter is that the reasons you cannot receive funding are varied and could be very unique to those firms. So today I want to focus on the things you can control and impact in preparation for talking to VCs. A little bit about myself, background in biomedical engineering, PhD in cardiovascular and hematologic pharmacology, worked in consulting and tech transfer for a bit before joining the Engine, working on the investment team. I did want to touch on the Engine on its background because it speaks to kind of how some of the suggestions I'll put forth today and kind of the holistic view we think about when thinking about fundraising and funding, when we talk about really funding over the life cycle of a project. The Engine was born out of MIT, focused in 2017, focused on tough tech, so solving the biggest problems across the worlds of climate change, human health, and advanced systems. But we have a very strong affinity to technologies that are translated from benchtop to commercialization. And so I would say 95% of our CEOs are PhDs, the postdocs who are doing the research in labs. And so a majority of the deals that we look at, a lot of the companies we're looking to fund are incredibly early. Some are graduated last month, some are, hey, we spun out, a few weeks ago. But those deals are incredibly early. Some of the things that the Engine does that's unique from other VC firms that you may come across, we have, when we talk about return on investment, our investments, we have up to 18 years for return on investment. So funding over the life cycle is essential. We think about that a lot, but right now we're 5 years in, so we're still in that early phase, but that 18 years is a relationship. Additionally, we have 30,000 square feet of machine shops, labs, office space, because we realized that capital was not enough. It's not the only thing when we talk about funding. And now we just opened a 180,000 square feet facility here in Cambridge as well. And so we work very closely with our companies. And so again, when we talk about funding over the life cycle, we take a very holistic view. It's not just about the capital. It's about funding in the forms that support, particularly in the early days, but it's the right capital from the right people for the right reasons. And so what I kind of touched on here today is collating some of the key points that we have found vital in some of the programs we run. We run a program called Blueprint for PhDs who are transitioning out of academia to starting up. And we run a program called Whiteboard for PIs who are interested in getting into the entrepreneurial space, but haven't really gotten there yet. But the overarching quote that always comes to my mind when talking to new founders about how to think about the space, particularly when kind of approaching VCs, is a quote from Sun Tzu, Art of War. If you know your enemy, you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. And that is just rings true in lots of aspects to life, but it's really important for early founders, because if you know yourself and you know the challenges you're facing, even if you fail, you will learn and grow from it. And that is the entrepreneurial journey. The experiments will fail, you're hitting hurdles, it's part of the adventure. So you learn to fail correctly and you fail forward. And so you want to either get to a yes for the right reasons, as I noted, or you get to a no efficiently and learn to grow from it. And so I would say like the first thing to lock into, even in the preparation for talking to VCs, to getting from that space where you're doing lab experiments to, hey, I want to spin something out, I think I may have something, is it's essential to know your superpower, both on the tech and team side. Why are you special? Why are you the person to make this technology real? There's a lot of ideas out there, but why are you the person to make this thing come to fruition in this world and change the fabric of life on this planet? And so, one of the analogies I always use is there's a door that everyone else wants to get through, and you have the key. Explain that to me. Make me feel that you are the person with that key. And so it's important to kind of know that superpower just from the get-go. And some example of that is there's companies we've seen where they have a therapy, for example, in this case, you may have a therapy that impacts neurodegeneration, but is your superpower really in how you screen that drug, how you got to understanding how that drug works, the models you used? You may have a device that prevents falling or helps prevent, geriatric injuries, but is it really your understanding of human movement and the degradation of joints and stability with aging? So it's really understanding why you are special, why you are going to stay ahead in the race, is really crucial to kind of communicate in those initial meetings. I think also the knowing your superpower touches to a lot of the points that others have brought up today. If you know your superpower, you get to see the full scope of opportunities that you can actually pursue. We have a lot of companies that come through our Blueprint program. We have PIs coming through our Whiteboard program who think that the first product that they're going for is their superpower. And sometimes that can be narrowing to them. It can isolate them from all the opportunities that they get actually apply for, because they don't see that they actually have value across various aspects of what they're doing, or they have a value at their core that branches out to these other spaces. The analogy I use a lot of times is you're writing a book, you're writing your Lord of the Rings trilogy. The first chapter of that book is going to be what you're working on now, but I'm actually, from us, at least the engine with 18 years, I'm interested in the whole table of contents. I'm interested in the whole trilogy we're writing. And so I need to know that you see that first chapter, but you also have the vision to fill out the rest of that book. Excuse me. The other part of that quote is obviously knowing your enemy. I don't think VCs or grants, no, I don't think anyone considers themselves enemies of founders, if anything, friends, but it's really just speaking to going with a plan. We see so many companies who go for the first accelerator, first grant, first equity capital that they come across. And the fact is, grants, accelerators, competitions, to all the investments, they are not built the same. All are not built the same. They're all not equal. They all different time and effort. All money does not cost the same. You want the right capital from the right people for the right reasons. And you don't want to also make the mistake of taking too much capital. We've seen that happen. You want to stay hungry. You're on a long trek. If you are making technologies that are going to change how we function on this planet, if we survive on this planet, you fundamentally are going to need to take time. And so you need to stay hungry in that journey, and taking too much capital is something we've seen is actually been detrimental in some cases. So one of the exercises I would suggest to all founders is list out all the grants, all the things you've heard today, list out all the events. You have a list of all the VC firms, make a game plan. We talk to founders who you have your 6, 12, 18-month game plan of what experiment you're going to run, but you should have the same game plan for funding. That life cycle, it should be strategic to how you're thinking about your business. And so you want to understand with the VCs you're talking to, list out all the parameters. What are the pluses and minuses of the competitions, accelerators, or VCs? For VCs, the things that always come up are how much capital do they invest? At what stage? Do they invest in only one company in the area or multiple companies? Do they have geographical restrictions? You want to be thinking about your journey, your adventure through this VC space. And for accelerator activities is along the same track. What does it mean if you get this grant? Does it mean you grow your team faster? Does it mean you accelerate your tech? What happens if you don't get this grant? This should be a map of the possibilities depending on what that funding looks like. And so having a game plan, attacking that game plan, listing it out, it should be, honestly, for me, I love when it's like, hey, we have a technological breakdown, but like also what does your funding opportunities look like? What's your fastest, most accelerated, go crazy versus, hey, we're going to take it slow and be conservative because the markets are a little bit crazy. And so lastly, I'd say the last point I'll end us with is at its core, believe in your brand. Like, bring your full self to these events, to these programs, to pitching to VCs. If you have to pitch for grants, this is so important, because the worst feeling for me anyway, when seeing hundreds of pitches on a daily basis, is seeing incredibly interesting technology, envisioning the impact of the world. I see the new world this technology can make, but I don't feel the passion. I don't feel the vision. I don't feel the drive from that person. And so, but it's in a very weird position, because we want the technology, but we don't know if this person is the person to unlock that door for us. And so, and that's probably the most frustrating component of it, because at the end of the day, we invest in people more than we invest in technology. Whole stop. Like we invest in the human beings who are doing the technology more than technology ever. I'd rather invest in a great human being, great team with okay technology that needs work than possibly great technology with a team that I can't believe in or I can't connect to, that I can't see the vision and drive in. And so I think it's important to bring your full self to these events, because again, you could get a no for a lot of reasons from VCs, but it shouldn't be because they didn't see the fullness of you. They didn't see the full passion of what you have done. And so it's important to just, whenever you're sitting across from VCs, you're pitching to people, know that you are, what across the table from you is just time and experience. These are just human beings with time and experience in the fields that they worked. They're not, no one has superpowers to know the best investments, to be the worst vendor ever. Just, it is, you are literally seeing time and experience across the table, and you will have that same time and experience. So you've worked for the right to be here. You fought to be an innovator. Bring that to the meeting, because it matters as much or equal, or if not sometimes greater than the technology that you're working on. And I pass to you, Bob. Thank you.